How do we differ in our aggressive tendencies? Now you know that the potential to be aggressive is both inherited and learned. There is some stability in aggression. High levels in childhood predict high alleles in adulthood. Some of the personality traits associated with aggression include low agreeableness, low openness, and high neuroticism. Traits associated with aggression only after being provoked include high emotional susceptibility, type A personality, high impulsivity, and high levels of narcissism. Contrary to popular opinion, low self-esteem is not a good predictor of aggression. In fact, high self-esteem has a stronger relationship with aggression than low self-esteem, but the relationship still isn't worthy of being added to this list. Let's explore some well-supported gender differences in aggression. Across cultures and time, men tend to be more aggressive and violent than women. Furthermore, men are more likely than women to commit a homicide, and at the same time, to be the victim of a murder. As suggested by evolutionary psychologists, men tend to use physical aggression, while women tend to use relational aggression. Interestingly, though, both genders are equally likely to aggress against their partners. However, women are more likely to be injured in a domestic dispute, and men are less likely to report their female aggressors. Men and women are rewarded and punished differently for aggression and have different models of behavior. Overt and physical aggression are more socially acceptable for men, while indirect and relational aggression are more acceptable for women. When they follow these scripts, they're rewarded, but when they deviate from these expectations, they may be ridiculed or ostracized by others. The rates of violence vary dramatically from one society to another. The rate of violent crime has been steadily decreasing in the U.S., but the rate of murder and the rate of gun-related violence is high, relative to other industrialized nations. Why does the rate of violence differ across cultures? There are several reasons. One is a difference in values. Rates of violence tend to be lower in collectivistic cultures because they value social harmony and keeping the peace. Of course, collectivistic people are not immune to aggression, just less likely to engage in it. 2. Cultures also vary in terms of their attitudes toward aggression. For example, attitudes about guns are more permissive and positive in the U.S. than in many other nations. Within a society, different subcultures exhibit different norms concerning aggression. In the U.S., aggression rates are highest among teenagers and young adults. The majority of murders are intra-racial, occurring between two or more people of the same race. And the murder rate tends to be highest in the South and the West. One contributing factor is something you learned about earlier in this lecture: the warmer weather. People are active in these regions throughout the year, whereas people in other regions shelter inside during the winter. The relatively greater violence rates in the South can also be attributed to the region's culture of honor, where it's acceptable to defend one's social status with aggression. Or they hold machismo attitudes and expect to resolve conflict with aggression. Are all cultures aggressive? No. Several cultures around the world have virtually no violence. These tend to be very cooperative, interdependent societies with little competition among their members. Here are a few examples of societies that are considered nonviolent. Take a moment to pause the video and read the researchers' comments about each culture. As you can see, some cultures do not promote aggression and violence in the same way that others do. Note that the existence of these nonviolent cultures contradicts evolutionary psychologists' assertion that aggression is an innate, universal tendency, and instead provides additional support for the nurture perspective. Now that you've covered these 3 individual differences, you're going to learn about another one in the next part of this lecture. The extent to which a person is exposed to media violence also plays a role in how likely they are to exhibit aggressive behaviors.